All right, so I'm going to give you documented proof that Obama did do things for black people. There are several things that Obama successfully did for black people, and there are several things that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell blocked. So he wasn't able to do several things because Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell blocked quite a few things. And I'll go into that video in other places. I'll go into that in other videos to come. So this is documented proof. Um, Obama took over basically '09. What people don't understand of how policies work, it takes a year or 2 years for something to work through the system. So even if I put something in today, unless I do an executive order, which is immediate, it takes a minute for it to process through the system because everybody has to work it. The House, which is really an irrelevant function, the House can only suggest things for the Senate to do. The Senate doesn't have to do it, and the House has the ability to block. So the House is somewhat irrelevant unless it comes to blocking, and then there's the Senate, which has most of the power. It can take a bill the House does and rewrite the whole thing and make it look like nothing the House sent over. So anyway, so at one point in time, uh, Obama had the Democrats running the House and the Senate. They had a majority. But you had some very racist Democrats. And, people don't really know. A lot of Democrats are very racist. They just pretend very well. So, full disclosure, I'm a conservative. I am not a Republican. I am an independent. The reason I'm an independent is as a black conservative, I'm more powerful as an independent because my vote is not guaranteed either way. I investigate judges. I investigate city council. I'm a fierce person on locally voting or getting rid of people or making it known what people do behind closed doors. I've been a Republican for years, registered, but a registered Republican, but I don't vote with the clique. I'm a conservative. If you're not doing money right, I'm not going to roll with you just because you're a Republican or just because you're a Democrat. That's not my thing. So with that said, I'm giving and then on top of that, I'm black first. I'm not party first. I'm black first because even though I'm winning, I want other black people to win too. So, you know. So anyway, so I'll give you this information on what Obama did for black folks. So you'll see in this graph, and you can go to any of the .govs. Don't go to somebody's blog site. Go to any of the .govs as it relates to the Bureau statistics. And this one will show that what happened when he took over for Dick Cheney. I don't even consider Bush the president because Dick Cheney is the one who set all of the policy. Bush was just like a mustache, and that's just being honest. When you look at all the things that Dick Cheney did, giving no compete contracts to Halliburton, just siphoning away all of that Chinese loan that Clinton took out, and just draining the surplus to his former company Halliburton. That's where all the money went. And then with all the Americans dying, there was a anybody that knows mathematics. If you have a perpetual declining rate, you don't just automatically stop that on the day that Obama comes into presidency. You factor in that it takes a year to 2 years for stuff to go through policy, and he has to slow it down first and then stop it and then reverse it. Well, we're going to talk specifically about black male unemployment because people always talk about how Obama didn't do nothing for black people. That's a lie that a lot of mayonnaise people have taught gullible black people. Mayonnaise people look for gullible, and I've seen this because again I've been registered as a Republican for a couple of decades, and I go to the dinners, I speak to people, you know, I put on my suit, tie like everybody else, but I'm there for my people, and I'm not there for the party first. I'm not blind to the racism. That's not me. So anyway, what happened was is that he had to slow it down, and he had to stop it. Then he has to reverse it. So that takes quite a bit of time. So it almost took like 4 or 5 years for the reversal to start happening. And actually, what a lot of black people don't understand is he actually cut black male employment in half because Dick Cheney rose it up to 18-20% black male unemployment. Now, why is black male unemployment always high, and why is the EEOC underfunded to fight it? Well, because black males don't traditionally stick together to financially lobby to get that stuff done. So what happens is black males, we are polluted with other black males that don't want to be supervisors and don't want to be managers and don't want to have good money coming in. We're just polluted with it. And the truth of the matter is, if more black males would get away from their mama and the whole welfare covering that mama has, Section 8, and actually desire to become store owners and like we used to in the 60s and 70s before Reagan, we had a lot of black businesses. We had a lot of guys who owned stuff. And after Reagan, we're still trying to recover from what Reagan did. People don't want to admit to that, but that's really what it is. And there's documented proof of that with the 1986 Welfare Reform Act. I tell black people, don't get caught up in what mayonnaise folks say, because mayonnaise folks do what's called a red herring. They can only tell you it isn't true. They can't show you any documentation like I'm showing you here. So in this graph, and I got this from the Bureau of Labor Statistics .gov. You can see we were at in '09. We were at 18%, and what this graph doesn't show, we actually got up to 20. And then around 10 or 12, 2010, 2012, and then he slowed it and then he reversed it. And before he left office, it went down to 8, I believe that is. Went down to 8 or 7, and then the perpetual fall there, because as I said, things are perpetual in math. When Trump took over, he just took the benefit of it. Trump did not put an actual policy into play until the last part of his first year. So it's not even feasible to say that he takes credit for the unemployment of blacks when you did not put a policy forth until December of the first year of his presidency. And actually, Trump did not write that. Little known fact and is that Mitch McConnell actually wrote that bill. And the bill had nothing to do with unemployment. It was a bailout for rich people. So, that's a whole thing in itself. And I'm starting to do these things because it's so disappointing how black folks, even when I go toe to toe with black people who swear up and down they have information, they always want to answer a question with a question. They always want to talk about something totally different. The documentation is what it is. I'm going to come back with another one that we got from databls.gov. It'll give you a slightly different mathematical variation. It's by point 0.5. By point 0.5 is a slightly different movement of the numbers. But it shows that, and I'll come into another video with that. It shows that when Obama took over, it was at 16, and then he started to reverse it at 13, which is pretty much the same thing. And in 2017, it went to 6. 2016, it was at 7.9. So he had already did what he needed to do in reversing it. And Republican Dick Cheney is the one that caused the unemployment in the first place. And people tend to forget that because a lot of young people don't like to research. They like to go off right now. And one thing I learned about being on the Republican side is they really believe everybody's gullible. And we who are doing well, we're like kings and queens. That's the Republican thought process. And it's amazing. Mayonnaise Republicans will even play their fellow mayonnaise people. You know, it's really a trip. But those folks really believe that those Republicans are on their side. And it's the same way with Democrats, you know. That's why I said being an independent is more valuable with my black first mentality. I'm not a hater of white folks. I'm not a hater of, mayonnaise. It's just, to me, they're like cousins. You know what I'm saying? I don't put them first, but I ain't trying to diss them. You know what I'm saying? We got some good mayonnaise people. We got some good Asian people. And if they're not trying to diss my dark skin, then I'm cool with them because we all American at the end of the day. But anyway, so once again, the graph shows that it was at 18. He slowed it down and reversed it. So this is documented. This isn't me making a speech about it. This is something that you can actually see. But again, one of the reasons for me making this is because black guys, they love tearing down blackness. Black guys are the number one KKK on the planet. You know, they say things that they heard a mayonnaise person say and they just run with it. They say things that they heard in one book and they just run with it. They don't double fact check nothing. So this is a rebuttal, and I'm going to put out quite a few of these because I need to plaster the internet and with actual data and actual facts. If anybody wants to debate me on what he did, fine. I will live stream you with you, and we'll have that conversation. But you're not going to make a speech to me. You're going to have to produce some government documentation, not something from somebody's blog site. All right. So, again, this is documented proof. Obama did do things for black people. And I'm going to come back again with a different video later.